What's up, everybody? This is Dr. Zeb, and welcome to the Rehab Christian Center Tuesday night virtual experience. And I'm grateful to be here tonight. We call Bible study life study, and I'm excited to be back with you and on all three of our networks this evening. And just grateful that you tuned in to share with us. Listen, I got a very mature word tonight. This isn't this word ain't gonna be for the faint of heart, but it's gonna be a mature message, and it's a very powerful one. Tonight, we're going to talk about 5 traits of the easily offended. I'm going to give you 5 traits of the easily offended. And this is going to be another one of those life changing, if you really want to change your life and be better kind of words. And I'm excited to be here tonight and share with you, regardless of the 3 networks that you're on. And so we've got about 40 minutes of experience coming tonight, and I'm grateful to be here. And again, just grateful that you've tuned in tonight. So do me a favor, start liking the video, start sharing the video, regardless of the network that you're on. I want to walk through the 3 networks really quickly. Then I want to get right into this message tonight. 5 traits of the easily offended. And this is so befitting of a life study. And again, this is going to be one of those messages that will challenge you. Especially if you are operating in an honest space where you want to be better. This is the word for you tonight. And I'm grateful to share it with you. So let's get through the networks. Good evening, Mother Brenda. It's good to see you. I see you, the first person that's commented tonight on Facebook. And it's good to see you this evening. And do me a favor, if you're tuning in, start liking the video, sharing the video, regardless of the network that you're on. Start tagging people, tell them to tune in. You definitely want to nudge somebody for tonight's word. This is going to be a powerful one, and they're going to be glad they tuned in, and you're going to be glad you tuned in as well. And so again, go ahead and say good evening on whatever network that you're in. Let's start sharing the video. I want to say good evening to everybody on every network, and then we're going to get right into this in the next 2 minutes. All right. Facebook, good evening to you. It's good to see you virtually. Those of you that are tuning in via Facebook, thank you so much for taking this opportunity to share with us. If you are watching via Facebook, do me a favor. I want you to like this video. If this message, if this broadcast, if this ministry has been a blessing to you, I want you to hit down that like, hold down that like button, turn it to a love button, hit that share button, hit the @ tag 5 of your friends and tell them to tune in tonight. This is going to be a very powerful life study, so practical, but so powerful. And I'm just going to straight teach. I'm going to teach some practical things tonight. For all of you deep folks, I don't have a lot. I don't have an official or formal scripture text for you. But I got a lot of common sense stuff for you tonight. It's going to really bless you. And this is something, the spirit of offense is something that I enjoy teaching because, frankly, you see the spirit of offense probably higher in any. There's probably no other environment that you see the spirit of offense stronger in than in the church. Everybody get offended in church. Everybody get mad at church. And the crazy thing is, folk get mad at church, and the same thing happen at work, and they don't even care. But I don't have time to deal with that like I want to tonight. I don't even really have time to deal with this lesson like I need to. This is a 2-hour lesson tonight. I'm going to condense this and give it to you in 40 minutes. But I love talking about the spirit of offense because it is certainly a spirit that just runs rampant. And we're going to deal with it tonight. So again, good evening, Facebook. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you say good evening in the chat area. And then if you are tuned in, I do not want you to tune in without hitting that at symbol and tagging 5 of your friends, your nieces, nephews, sons, daughters, spouse, boyfriend, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever, and tell them to tune in tonight. All right. Instagram, good evening to you. It's good to be back with you. I missed y'all on Sunday, and it was so good to see so many of you tuned in via YouTube and Facebook. But it's good to be back with you. Instagram, thank you so much for tuning in. If you have not said good evening in the chat area, Instagram, make sure you do that. Make sure you fill it up with hearts. Let me know you're tuned in, that you're locked in, ready to go. And then I want you to hit that @ symbol. If you're watching on Instagram, hit that @ symbol. I want you to tag 5 of your followers, friends, and tell them on Instagram to tune in. Instagram has really been picking up steam and traction over the last couple of weeks. And I'm just grateful for that. And really looking forward to engaging our Instagram audience in a very innovative way as we go hybrid. Instagram is just one of those networks that don't do well with live streaming. from professional devices. And so I'm gonna have to find somebody to do a camera phone and walk around and give y'all some highlights on some clips. We're gonna make it happen. We'll figure it out. But just so grateful for you tuning in on Instagram. Again, fill it up with hearts. Hit that @ symbol, tag 5 of your friends, and tell them to tune in. YouTube, good evening to you. Those of you that are tuning in via YouTube, thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you are tuned in via YouTube, do me a favor. Make sure you like this video. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, you can do that by finding us on YouTube. Go to your search bar and type in The Rehab CC. Type in The Rehab CC on the search bar, and you can find us there. And just hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification icon. I love it every time we go live. I'm subscribed to our channel, and I always get an alert on my iPad and all of my devices that we're live. And so you want to do that. Make sure that you don't miss any alerts when we go live and on the air. And then I want you to hit that share button if you're on YouTube and tag 5 people. Share this video with 5 people. Tell them to tune in. And again, I'm excited about tonight's lesson. This is one of my favorite topics to teach on, because again, the spirit of offense is something you see so heavily, especially among quote unquote church people. And we're going to deal with this tonight in a very candid way. And we've got to finish tonight. There cannot be any part twos tonight. I've got to get through this tonight. I'm down to 40 minutes. I got to get this done. No, I'm down to 35 minutes because I've been running my mouth. And I got to get this done in 35 minutes. There will not be a part 2, but we got to dive right into this. Now, I need you to type in the topic tonight. Doesn't matter where you're tuned in. Type in the topic in the comments. 5 traits of the easily offended. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. 5 traits of the easily offended. All right? 5 traits of the easily offended. I don't have a base scripture point to give you. Tonight, I'm going to give you some practical, frankly, common sense stuff that is going to help you in any context. But this kind of conversation, this kind of frank conversation is critical for the church because, again, I'm fortunate. I'm not in ministry full-time, and I'm good with that. I'm fortunate to be in professional environments, ministry environments, a lot of different environments. And I'll tell you again, there is really no environment there's no people in no environment that gets as offended so quickly as church people. Church people are easily offended. And it's so crazy to me. And so before I give you these 5 characteristics or 5 traits of the easily offended, let me talk a little bit about the spirit of offense. All right. Give me 5 or 6 minutes to just deal with the spirit of offense, expound on that a little bit. And then I'm going to give you the 5 traits of the easily offended, and we're done tonight. This is going to be powerful. As always, you're going to be the smartest person at the water cooler all week long. The spirit of offense. I want you to record this. The spirit of offense is always a reflection of no self-examination. The spirit of offense, when somebody is offended, easily offended especially, it is always a reflection of no self-examination, meaning people who are easily offended tend to be people who don't spend a lot of time examining themselves, meaning looking at themselves in the mirror, trying to study themselves to understand, how, the role they play in a situation, the role they played in a situation, the role they played in the offense, the role they played in the error, right? Self-examination, as you know, is always about looking yourself in the mirror. So when you look yourself in the mirror, then you understand that becomes then the foundation by which you are not so easily offended. And I've discovered that people who are easily offended tend to be people who spend little to no time in the space called self-examination. You have to be willing to examine yourself. The Bible tells us, let a man first, before he does anything else, let a man or a woman first examine himself, which means you've got to grow yourself. You have to grow yourself. You have to grow your personality. You have to grow your mentality to a place where when you're in any kind of situation where there is any level of negativity or offense involved, before you want to go off, before you all want to go from 0 to 100 in 0.5 seconds, before you want to do all of that stuff, sometimes the best thing to do is to pause, take a step back, and don't look at the situation, look at you first, right? Because I've discovered that sometimes the best response is not a response outward, it is a response inward, right? When people do things to offend you, sometimes the better response is not to outwardly respond to them, but to inwardly respond to yourself or examine yourself. Because anytime we examine ourselves, it's an inward response, right? I don't know if this is making sense. Anytime we examine ourselves and examine our spirit and examine our feelings and examine our emotions and examine why we feel offended and examine the situation and look at our role in it, it is an inward response to ourselves, right? And some people are so busy popping off at the mouth that they're not examining themselves. And I'm especially talking to all you knuckleheads tuned in who get offended, and your first response is to always say something. Let me tell you something. You got to mature out of that young, immature thinking to think that every time somebody offends you, it merits a response. Every offense, record this, come on, quickly. Every offense does not merit a response. Come on, Zion. Come on, type quickly. Every offense does not merit a response. And you will discover that the more mature you become, the less likely you are to respond to everything. I think I put up a post on my social media recently. It was in the last week or two where I talked about this. I'm at a place now where I don't feel like I have to respond to everything. I don't have to respond to everybody. I don't have to respond to every text. I don't have to return everybody's call. I don't have to do none of that stuff. And it is a freeing place. Why? Because it is a place of maturity. Maturity teaches us to understand you ain't got to respond to everybody. You don't have to respond to everything that comes your way. You don't have to react to everything that comes your way. No, no. Every offense doesn't merit a response. It doesn't. And that's what spiritual maturity teaches us. Now I get it because I like that comment, Elder. She says, I'm learning this in my older years. I get it. It can very much be synonymous with age. I've found younger people to be more hot-headed, but I've also found older people to be just as hot-headed, right? So age can have something to do with it, but maturity almost always has something to do with it. You can be young and be seasoned and be able to control your emotions well to where you don't feel like you have to respond to everything, right? I know there's a lot of people that I know, 18, 19, 17-year-olds that are just cool and calm and under pressure. And I think it's a very admirable thing. Then there's a whole lot of 60-year-olds that's out here cussing and fussing and screaming at folk who offend them. Let me tell y'all something. If you 60 years old and somebody cut you off in traffic and you pulling up next to folk, rolling down your window, giving them the bird, honking your horn, yelling and screaming, you got a serious maturity issue. Because at 60, you ought to be settled enough in your spirit. Whether you know God or not, whether you want to include him or you don't, you ought to be settled enough in your spirit to where at 60, if somebody cuts you off, just let them have it, man. Just let them have it. Right? And so age does have something to do with this, but more often than not, it's really about maturity. And so again, I want to make sure we understand this. Every offense doesn't require a response. It doesn't. Why? Because true um true maturity, true spiritual maturity will force us to examine ourselves. It will force us to look inward before we respond. It will force us to think about our part before we respond. Okay. Here's the second thing that I want you to remember about the spirit of offense, right? First thing I want you to remember is it is a reflection of no self examination. Here's the second thing: offense almost always kills relationships and creates bitterness. We've talked about bitterness the last 2 weeks. Offense almost always kills relationships and creates bitterness. Offense almost always kills relationships. Go on Facebook. I need to see more notes there. Offense almost always kills relationships and creates bitterness. More relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, co-worker relationships, family relationships, whatever relationship label you want to put on it. More relationships have gone down the tube because people got offended. And when they got offended, it planted a seed of bitterness that caused that relationship to never be the same again. And here's the crazy part, y'all. It's one thing to be offended. It's another thing to be offended and a poor communicator. Man, I wish I had time. I wish I had time. I got to hurry. Did y'all hear what I said? It's one thing for you to be offended and easily offended. It's another thing for you to be easily offended and you're a poor communicator. Because when you easily offended and you're a poor communicator, then people can offend you. But if you have a hard time listening or you have a hard time being able to communicate how you feel, you'll find yourself being offended by people. And oftentimes they don't even know they offended you. Y'all don't like the way I'm talking. There's some folk right now that's mad at you and you don't even know you offended them. But the reason you don't know is because they're poor communicators too. And so when you are easily offended and you're a poor communicator, you find yourself walking around mad at people who don't even know. Can I help y'all? Man, it's always fine, Nick Watson. It's always fine on Tuesday. Man, y'all be sleeping on Tuesdays. Listen, let me help some of y'all. A whole lot of us got people mad at us right now, and we don't even know it. And the crazy thing is, you don't even know they mad. And the reason you don't know they mad is not because you don't care about them. You don't know they mad because they're poor communicators. And see, I don't have a problem with nobody being offended, but hear me. Be offended, but you better learn how to communicate. Because if you're easily offended and you have a poor communication style, then you will find yourself walking around upset with people, expecting them to know it and feel it. And a lot of times they don't. And this is especially true. Oh, God. This is especially true for people who are locked in, tuned in, zoned in on their purpose, zoned in on their life, zoned in on what it is that they've been called to do. I'm going to just tell y'all, when y'all get mad at people like that, when y'all get offended by people like that, and you don't just pull them to the side and say, hey, Pastor, listen, I don't want to interrupt. I just want to let you know when you said this, it offended me, or when you did this, it offended me. I want to share that with you and hope we can talk it out. If you don't do that to people that are locked in, listen, they'll be so locked in on what they're doing, they won't even notice your attitude. They won't even notice your disposition. And many of you have been offended by people who are purpose-filled people, focused people, and they don't even know that they've offended you because they're so busy focusing on their purpose. And even if they did really offend you, the offended, oftentimes, the offended, especially in cases, let me make sure I word this good. In cases where offense has occurred, who was the offender does not know it, it is the responsibility of the offended to begin to communicate the offense to make things better, right? The exception to that rule is the obvious. If you have offended somebody and you know you offended them, right? You are the offender. You have the responsibility to make it right. But if you were the offender, and you didn't know you offended somebody, and somebody took offense to something that you did, they have that obligation to communicate that offense to make it better, to make it right. And see, I'm just telling y'all, don't ever forget this. Being easily offended and being a poor communicator is a horrible combination. Because if you don't know how to talk and you easily get offended, you're going to always walk around mad. Y'all need to write that down. You're going to be the smartest person at work all week long. I'm going to say it again slow. If you easily offended and you don't know how to talk, you're going to always be mad. Some of y'all need to tell your coworkers this tomorrow. If you easily offended and you don't know how to talk, you're going to always be mad. And that's why a whole lot of people, this thing hit me like a sack of bricks last week. The reason why a lot of people walking around mad all the time is because number one, they're easily offended. And number two, they suck at communication. And so if you easily get mad, one, And two, you don't know how to explain why you mad, you're gonna always be mad. If you easily mad and you don't know how to explain why you mad, you're gonna always be mad. This is man, is this making sense to anybody tonight? Put the raise hand emoji. Facebook ain't made a comment in the last 12 minutes. I don't know what they do. Is this making sense to anybody, or y'all just digesting this tonight? I'm serious. If you're easily offended and you don't know how to communicate that, you're gonna be one of the people like angry man sitting in the corner somewhere, always mad. And the crazy thing is, to if you're surrounded by people who are focused, who are purpose driven, who minding their business, they won't even know you offended. I be so I be so deep. Excuse the English. I be so deep in my own business that sometimes folk be mad and I don't even notice. And folk be like, Dr. Zed, Pat, you didn't know such such a no, I didn't know. And I'm not being fake about that. I'm being serious. No, I didn't know. Like I got bills to pay, I got stuff to run, I got businesses to run, I got church to manage, I got kids to manage, I got stuff going on in my life. I had no idea. I'm booked and busy. So when you booked and busy, and you have offended somebody unknowingly, I'm not talking about now. Don't y'all walk around talking about, well, that's it. If I offend people, it's on them. That's not what I said. I'm talking about you booked and busy and you offended people and you didn't know you offended people. It is then their obligation to try to communicate that with you. This is why y'all got to check your circle of friends, right? Again, offense kills relationships. It creates bitterness. So the context to then setting good relationships in your life is not setting good relationships with people based on how they look or what they drive or how much money they make or where they live or how popular they are or what their Snapchat number is. That stuff don't matter. You start forming relationships with people on less of the superficial and more of the meaningful, i.e., I would love to be your BFF. What kind of communicator are you? When you get mad, do you go weeks without talking? Do you go days without talking? Do you get mad and then expect people to read your mind? Or are you able to communicate your thoughts and do it in a way that ain't funny, that ain't pretentious, that ain't passive aggressive, but can do it in a way that's clear, that's respectful, and that seeks to build a bridge to make things better? I'm taking y'all to Inspire tonight. That's my consulting company. Does that make sense? Y'all be choosing friends based on how many photos, likes they got, how cute their hair is, all this stuff. And meanwhile, these are people who have so many wounds in their spirit that when they get hurt, they cut you off. You offend them one time, they don't want to deal with you no more forever. And the offense be the smallest little thing. And you take that personal, not realizing that not only do they have the spirit of offense on them, but they don't have the ability to manage how they are offended. And if you cannot manage how you're offended, you will ultimately never have friends. Your relationships will suffer. Some of y'all gonna end up single for the rest of your life, not because you ain't a good catch, not because you ain't attractive, not because you can't get people or attract people. You're gonna end up single because you have not mastered the art of being able to communicate offense. I quit, man. Like I'm talking to all 25 of y'all tonight, and I'm teaching this like it's a million people on the line. A lot of your relationships are going to fail, not because they were bad people, but because they didn't know how to communicate when they were offended. And if you can't communicate when you're offended without being, super angry, the big one is passive aggressive. Because most people get real passive aggressive when they're offended. And they communicate, and when they communicate, you can hear the passive aggressiveness in their tone. Or you can see the passive aggressiveness in their behavior, i.e., you offended me, so I don't talk to you for the next 3 days. That's passive aggressive behavior. I hear you. Well, Dr. Zip, what if I need a moment? What if I need some time to breathe? What if I needed some time, to relax and get my attitude together before I respond? I appreciate that and I respect that. And there's some merit to that. If somebody offends you in a major way, does something major offensive, sometimes you need to take a step back and breathe before you respond so that you can respond in the right way, in a professional way, with the right spirit, with the right demeanor, right? I get that. But let me tell y'all something about that too. You ready? As your spiritual maturity rises, the amount of downtime you need decreases. I told y'all this one was going to challenge y'all. I'm going to say it again. As your spiritual maturity rises, the amount of recovery time you need to get over stuff decreases. I'm going to say it again. As your maturity rises, your amount of recovery time to get over stuff decreases. So for all of y'all that's been holding grudges for months because somebody told one of your secrets, I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm not minimizing that. Y'all hear me out? I'm just throwing out an example. Somebody told one of your secrets, and it won't no deep down dirty, you didn't have a threesome secret. It was somebody, somebody told that every now and then you like to go to Atlanta for the weekend. I don't know. I'm trying to come up with something minor. And they told that secret, and you ain't been speaking to them for months. The problem ain't them. The problem is you. Because as you spiritually mature, your time to recover will decrease. This is something that I learned over the last 2 years. Really was just going through some different journeys and transitions in my life, and really growing in my life. And one of the things, and it's in my journal, one of my journals, I got a million upstairs, but one of my journals, and it's the blue one. That journal is enough in there to you can write a lot of New York bestsellers out of that one because I learned a lot about me and in turn about life. One of the things that I came to the conclusion of was that really one of the true measurements of growth is how long it takes you to recover from offense. You want to know what kind of person you're growing into becoming? If you want to know if you're really growing to mature in your life and in areas of your life, let me see you get offended and let me see how long it takes you to get over it. Talk back to me, Zion. Why y'all quiet? Facebook chat is going slow. Are y'all listening to me? You want to know how long it's taking? If you want to know where your spiritual growth and maturity is, measure how long it takes you to get over offense. And and here's an easy example. This is easy. Well, they didn't speak to me. Not to say, they didn't speak to me. I saw them at the swap meet. I saw them at church. I saw them at the mall. I saw them at work. They walked right by me. They spoke to me. They were short. They normally talk, but they were short. And so now you mad for weeks because one of your friends was short. How do you know your friend wasn't just having a bad day? How do you know your friend didn't just get cussed out by their supervisor at work? How do you know your friend ain't going through some financial difficulty or some mental difficulty or some physical difficulty? How do you know this stuff ain't work? How do you know? How do you know these things aren't in place? And so you let something that minor cause you to not speak for weeks. And I'm here to tell you, it is a sign of spiritual and personal immaturity the longer you allow offense to linger in your spirit. Again, be angry. Bible says this, be angry, sin not. Don't let the sun go down on your wrath. What that implies is you ain't got but a little bit of time to get over some stuff. Stop taking all day to get over stuff. I want you to put this in the comments if you big, bad, and bold enough. Put it in the comments. I will stop taking all day to get over stuff. Come on, tight. If you're bold enough to say it. I will stop taking all day to get over stuff. This is for all of y'all that's been holding stuff over people's head. And yeah, I'm not excusing what they did. I'm not letting people off the hook for offending you. I'm not letting, especially if they did it intentionally, I'm not letting people off the hook. But you got to hear the spiritual maturity message in this. And the spiritual maturity message in all of this is you got to go to a place where you stop taking all day to get over stuff. Stop. You're going to know you're growing when you can quickly release stuff and say, you know what? I'm good. Ain't no big deal. Hey, I'm offended. And watch this. Let me give you a bonus. You're going to really know you're growing when you can not only take a shorter period of time to get over it. Y'all ready for this one? This is the big one. I'm going to really make some of y'all mad here. You ready for the big one? Sister Ashley, I'm going to hurt you. You still on one since yesterday when I saw you. She's talking about some. I will try to stop taking all day. Y'all want to know the big one when it comes to spiritual maturity? You gonna really know you growing from a mature standpoint. Some of y'all should already know where I'm going. From a maturity standpoint, you're gonna really know you growing when two things are in place. One, when it don't take you all day to get over stuff. Here's the big one: when you don't need an apology to get over it. I hear some of y'all. Well, Dr. Zeb, I would get over it if they would just say I'm sorry. What if they don't? What if they don't? And some of y'all need to hear this. Some of you need to hear this because some of you have been offended by people. I know it's the one B. They don't hear me. Some of you have been offended by people who spiritually, emotionally, intellectually are not even on the same level as you. And you're expecting them to respond the way you would, not realizing you can't expect somebody who ain't on the same spiritual, emotional, and intellectual level as you to respond to you the way you respond to them. So if you're expecting that, your expectations are in the wrong place. Man, I quit. I ain't gonna have time. It's 7:40. I'm not gonna have time. And I ain't rushing through these 5 characteristics. So I lied again. It's gonna be a part 2 next week. Y'all need to hear this. And every single person you heard, especially who got offended in church, who said, I ain't coming back to church because sister such and such, brother such and such did this and looked at me this way, treated me this way. Let me tell you something. You will grow to a place in your spiritual maturity where you learn to decrease your downtime and getting over stuff and to be okay if they never apologize. Because here's the reality. Some of y'all gonna die before you get an apology. Some of you, I'm gonna say this against love. Some of you are going to die before you get an apology. It's quiet. I don't see no hearts. I don't see no amens. I don't see no, you better go on and tell it, Dr. Zeb. No, nothing. Yeah, I know it hurts. That's real talk. It is. And let me tell you why that's hurtful, because I appreciate that, Miss Destiny. Let me tell you why that is so hurtful for many of you. Because some of you, that's so hurtful because the people that should be apologizing are folk like family. These are folks like BFFs that you grew up with ever since 2nd and 3rd grade. That you would have thought family, friends, spouses, folks you would have thought cared enough for you to handle you the way you would have handled them. I know, man, y'all don't like this. I know this is hard to hear, but y'all better hear me. You will grow to a place in your spiritual growth. You will grow to your place in your spiritual maturity where literally you will be okay if they never say I'm sorry. And I've been there. I've been at the place in my spiritual walk, in my spiritual maturity, in my emotional growth. Honestly, in my intellectual growth, where I was like, I ain't gonna sit into their pot. They apologize. They got the pot. And not only that, they better apologize soon. I've been there, been there, been there. We're beyond that. And let me tell you something. You grow beyond that when you realize that sometimes the very people that's offending you are the very people who really intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, and any other league aren't really on the same level of you. They ain't even on the same playing field as you. You expecting people who don't even know God to treat you like they do. You're expecting people who have no regard for other people's feelings to act like they got a regard for yours. Stop. Stop. Again, don't know you're growing. The amount of time that it takes for you to get over your offense decreases, and you're gonna really know you at that super glow level when folk don't ever have to apologize to you, and you're good. You're good. In fact, I have grown to a place. You ready? I have grown to a place, and I like that Miss Desi said, we be wanting special treatment. You're right. And you be wanting special treatment from people who ain't even capable. Did y'all hear what I said? Y'all be wanting special treatment from people who aren't capable of giving you what you want. Some people just don't have the wherewithal, the self-awareness, the spiritual capacity, the maturity, the emotional capacity, the intellectual capacity, the intellectual sensitivity. They don't have any of these things to be able to give you what you want, and you expecting this from them. And part of your hurt is the fact that you set the wrong expectations for the wrong people. Let me say it another way. To be offended by somebody with spiritual maturity is not like being offended by somebody who doesn't have it. I don't mean no harm. And maybe this is where the church hurt comes into play. So let me give y'all a little bit of credit here. Maybe this is why people go on this church hurt tangent when they say, yeah, the reason why I get more offended when somebody in church hurts me is because they should know better, right? They should be more spiritually mature, right? They should be more spiritually capable. They should have more spiritual understanding. I understand that, and I don't disagree with that, right? So to an extent, you are correct. Here's the flip side. Church for sick folk. The church for sick folk. And I'm going to help some of y'all. I'm going to bust some of y'all's bubbles. I didn't even mean to go here. It ain't even in my notes. I'm going to give you the third powerful thing about the spirit of offense, and then I got to shut it down. We part two next week. But let me help y'all. You ready? Let me help you. The reason why some of y'all get so butthurt by folk in church that offend you, that you think are much spiritually mature, is because you don't know how to measure spiritual maturity. Oh, I'm gonna get in trouble. Watch this. You ready? You don't know how to measure spiritual maturity. And let me tell you how I know you don't know how to measure spiritual maturity. Because most of y'all measure spiritual maturity by superficial things. How often does somebody come to church? Oh, I'm about to get in trouble. Dr. Zeb, you mean to tell me that if I come to church every week, that don't mean I'm spiritually mature? Heck no. It's more to it than that. You could be in church every week and on the front row every week, cotton stockings dressed down to the floor. And that ain't got nothing to do with spiritual maturity. But what do a lot of people do? Well, I thought they were spiritually mature. They come to church every week. They dressed up every week. Here are the big ones. They shout. They shout. They speak in tongues. They be running around the church. The ushers have to get the white sheets out and throw it over their legs. They be passing out. Surely they spiritually mature. None of that stuff measures maturity. Ready? What you want to know what measures or don't even get me on preachers and pastors. Don't egg me on, Mr. Carlos. Because they be the worst. You talking about grudge holders? I always laugh when I find out I got pastors that don't like me, and half the time I don't even know who they are. Like, who are you, number one? Okay. But pastors be the worst. Pastors be the worst. Pastors be getting mad at other pastors because their members leave and go to other churches as if y'all pimps. That's what pimps do. Pimps fight other pimps when their hoes leave them and go to be with the other pimp. So y'all pastors be acting like pimps, holding grudges over folks because they didn't went on to another church. Learn how to wish folk well. And recognize that some people will be with you forever. Some people will be with you for a little while. Some people won't be with you for as long at all. It's the truth. You know I would know, Elder Missy. You know, because you know some personal stories. It's insanity to me. Get over that foolishness, right? So, but I've discovered that people measure spiritual maturity by all the wrong things. And it ain't that stuff. Here's the measurement of spiritual maturity. You want to know the measurement of spiritual maturity? Bible says, by this, here we go, shall all men know. Jesus said this to the disciples. He said, listen, by this shall all men know that you're my disciples. Here we go. Not how much you speak in tongues, not how often you come to church, not if you the first one there and the last one to leave, not by how much you shout, not even by how much money you give. By this shall all men know that you're my disciples, if you have love one for another, which means the real litmus test for spiritual maturity is how you love people, i.e., how you treat people. Y'all don't like this. Y'all don't like it. I told you this was a mature word, but how you handle people who offend you. Can you love the same Negroes that get on your nerves? Can you serve the same people that you know talking about you? This is why I wouldn't give 2 cents. But none of you Negroes that want to run to a pulpit and preach and holler and scream at folk, but you can't even serve people who don't like you. Good luck with that. Because I learned a long time ago, ain't no message like preaching a word to folk that come to hear you preach and they don't even like you. You don't have a word in your belly until you can stand on a stage and preach to folk who came to church, who don't like you, but came anyway to hear your word. And how do you do it? Not by how much you hoop and holler and shout, how many keys you change, how much you speak in tongues. Not all of that stuff. None of that stuff matters. It is by how you can treat people who don't treat you right. By this shall all men know that you're my disciple, if you have love one for another. That's the litmus test. It's the truth. It's the truth. Okay? Here's the third characteristic. Here's the third reason why, or the third impact of the spirit of offense. I'm gonna say this and then I'm done. We obviously got part 2 next week. Let me just go ahead and make my note here. Man, I'm gonna just start coming in knowing that this is gonna be a part 1 and part 2, because I hate to be rushed. I'm sorry. I don't like to be rushed in nothing. I like to take my time. So we're gonna start here. But here's the third thing that I want you to remember about the spirit of offense. And it's this. People with the spirit of offense are unteachable, unapproachable, and unreasonable. I got to start here. I'm not going to have time to deal with this. Let me just slide my note up because I ain't got time to really deal with this, and I need to go through all 3 of these. People with the spirit of offense are unteachable, unapproachable, and unreasonable. Man, I ain't got time. Man, this ought to be driving somebody insane tonight. Because if you ain't thinking about yourself, you ought to be thinking about somebody that fits this category. You want to know if somebody got the spirit of offense? Let me ask you a question. Are they unteachable? Are they unapproachable? And are they unreasonable? If they got 1, 2, or 3 of those traits, you got a person who's got the spirit of offense all over them. Y'all don't like this, man. I quit. I ain't got the time. I'm out of time. I ain't out of work. Are y'all listening to the old man? She said, "This is driving me insane. Please let me breathe." I'm sorry, Miss Destin. I didn't mean to hit you like that. She said, "I can't breathe." I'm serious. They're unteachable, they're unapproachable, and unreasonable. And if you would be honest and look over your life and think about all the people in your life that you've known who are easily offended, I guarantee you, these are the same people you can't teach them nothing. These are the same people that are hard to approach. They more often than not act like every day they waking up on the wrong side of the bed. Or if you got something difficult, that you need to have a conversation with them about, you on eggshells having to go towards them because you don't know how they're going to respond, or they're unreasonable, like don't think in a reasonable way. And the reason they don't is because they're selfish. They think everything is about them and how they feel and what they need. I'm telling you, these are characteristics of folk who have the spirit of offense. And some of y'all didn't even know it, but this explains why there are certain people in your life that when things go bad, you can't talk to them. And they're hard to talk to. They're hard to approach. When you try to have logical conversations with them, it always ends up in an unreasonable way. And it's because they don't understand logic because they have the spirit of offense. They're easily offended. I'm out of time, y'all. I gotta stop. I got a hard stop tonight. I got a hard stop tonight. I think Elder Missy said it. Y'all gonna have to go back and watch this replay. I'm going back to watch this part one. This was explosive, and it went from 0 to 100 like that. Listen to me. Listen to me. We will start here next week, part 2. Next Tuesday, we will start here with people with the spirit of offense being unteachable, unapproachable, unreasonable. And then I'm going to give you the 5 traits of the easily offended next week. I'm going to give this to you, but listen to me. Let me just make this last personal statement. Ms. Dad says she feels like she lost the fight. Let me give you this last personal statement. All of this links back to this whole idea of self-awareness. You got to be honest with yourself. If you say to me, Dr. Zeb, I'm one of those people where I find myself sometimes where it's hard to teach me stuff. I don't want to listen. It's hard for me to listen to other people. I find myself being unteachable. I find myself sometimes being hard to approach, getting set in my ways, always needing things to be my way, being salty or bitter when things don't go my way. Easy to blame other people for things, being very unreasonable and having expectations. This is the big one, especially in this unreasonable space, having expectations for people that you don't even have for yourself. Man, I just having people with the spirit of offense who are unreasonable have expectations for people they don't even have for themselves. I gotta write that down. I didn't even have that in my notes. They have expectations for others they don't have for themselves. Like, I'm serious. They will literally expect you to be nice to people, and they mean people. I have literally worked with people in all kinds of capacities, professionally, family, church, especially, Lord. I've worked with people in all kinds of capacities who would have the audacity to get offended at people or have the expectation that people talk to people the right way. They don't even talk to people the right way. Like, it's the audacity for me. It is the audacity that a person who doesn't talk to people the right way gets mad or has the unreasonable expectation that you talk to people the right kind of way. And I discovered that people with the spirit of offense, they're very unreasonable. They set expectations for others they don't even meet themselves. And I like that Cuban Phoenix. She said, do you meet your own expectations? And people with the spirit of offense don't. The people with the spirit of offense set expectations for people they don't even meet. I got to shut my laptop, or else we're going to be on here for another 30 minutes. This bless anybody tonight? I'm y'all. I told y'all be sleeping on Tuesday night life study, and Tuesdays be as powerful, if not more powerful than Sundays. This bless anybody tonight? Fill it up with hearts. Put up the high five emoji. Let me see something. Do me a favor. I'm gonna need you to go back and rewatch this tonight. So some of y'all need to go back and watch this, because I freed somebody tonight. I freed you from you. And then for some of y'all, I freed some of y'all from taking what other people do so personal. I just helped somebody tonight. Come on, Zion. Leave me alone, Mr. Carlos. Don't egg me on. It's the truth. Some of y'all got free tonight. And I can't wait to part two. I should have known this wasn't going to be in one session. Listen, I want to pray for you. If you got a prayer request, I want you to type it in the comments quickly. You literally got 25 seconds starting now. You got a prayer request, I want you to type it in the comments quickly. Um, I need you to type it in the comments quickly. If you've got a prayer request that we cannot read tonight or see on the air, you can email your prayer request to info@rehabcc.org. I want to especially thank those of you that are consistent prayer request submitters. Every single week, I see your prayer requests, and it's so good to see it. I always respond by midweek to your prayer requests. I read them on Sundays, but I try to respond later and just really think about those prayer requests along with everything else that I have to think about. But I want you to know that I appreciate your prayer requests and you sending them in every single week. So feel free to email your prayer requests if you like to info@rehabcc.org, subject line prayer request, or you can type it in the comments just as Sister Ashley has here, and so many people are starting to do on Facebook now. Type in your prayer request. But I want you to know that I'm praying for you. I'm praying for your family. I'm praying for your situation. I'm praying for your circumstance. I am praying for your projects. I'm praying for your health. I am praying for scholarships. I'm praying for safe travels. I'm praying for everything concerning your life, that God would continue to make ways for you. Listen, He's still in the way making business. I'm praying for your business because He's still in the way making business. He's going to bless your business because He's in the way making business. So those of you that have business endeavors, there's so many of you, both of the Nikki's on Instagram have some major business initiatives that are going on right now. I'm praying for you. I want you to know that. I'm praying for you every single day. I'm praying for your situation and circumstance, that God will make a way for your new expansions, that God would do that as only He can. Many of you, Sister Ashley, I've got other parents on Facebook, YouTube, who have young people that are about to go into college. And they want their young people to go to college debt free. I want that for you. God knows I want it for me when I get there. I'm praying for that. Career decisions, I like that. Many of you are dealing with career decisions in your life, in your family, and you're torn and you want to make the right decisions. Listen, you can't fail. You're not going to make the wrong decision. God's going to guide you. And you got to know that all of your steps are ordered by Him. And so I'm praying for that. I'm praying for all of these things: your health, your wellness, your mental well being, your emotional well being, your spiritual well being, your financial well being. That God will continue to make ways in your life as only He can. Listen, connect your hands like this is a sign of symbol of faith. I like that, man. Somebody want to pray, pass the semester with all straight A's. I love that's my kind of talk right there. That's nerd talk. I like that kind of carrying on. Connect your hands like this is a sign and symbol of faith tonight. Let's touch and agree. I want to pray with you right where you are. I want you to stop what you're doing and pray with me now. Let's do it. Father, in Jesus' name, thank you tonight for this word. Thank you for this time of sharing you've given us. I pray that something was shared with somebody that has encouraged them, that has motivated them, that has inspired them to be the best version of them that they possibly can. Help us, God, to move beyond the spirit of offense in our lives, not to be unteachable, untrainable, unreasonable, but help us to realize that as we grow in you, our ability to get over things should happen a little bit easier. We shouldn't be as offended for so long, but we should grow to a space where we learn how to take in what's happened to us, process it, and then move on with our lives. Help us, God, to be better people for that reason. Help us to grow in our spirituality, in our emotions, in our maturity, in our intellect. Help us to be comfortable with our feelings and our emotions so that we can process the things that happen to us and don't hold people hostage for a lifetime over something that happened in a season. Help us to be everything that you've called us to be and more. Now, I pray for every prayer request that's been typed on this broadcast, that's been typed in the replay, that's been sent to our inbox. We lift these requests up to you and ask now, God, that you would answer the prayers of your people. Make ways as only you can. Open doors as only you can. Meet needs as only you can. God, we thank you for a week that will be filled with miracles, open doors, expected promises, new business adventures, new ideas, new open doors, new open and made ways in our lives. And God, we will continue not to take the credit, but we will continue to give you the credit for all of the great things that you're doing in our lives. God, we count these things done and we believe you for them. In Jesus' name, amen. Do me a favor. You prayed that prayer of faith with me. I want you to type in the comments quickly. It is so. Come on, quickly. Come on, y'all. I gotta get off of here in 45 seconds. Type it in the comments quickly. It is so. It is so. It is so. Come on, quickly. It is so. You prayed that prayer of faith with me. I want you to type it in the comments quickly. Every time you say amen, you're simply saying it is so. And I want to challenge you to do that quickly. It is so. It is so. I'm believing God for all of you this week. This is going to be a fantastic week. I just feel it in my spirit. I don't have any proof other than just a belief. This is going to be a fantastic week where God's going to really do some spectacular things for so many of us. And I want you to walk into that really quickly. I got 30 seconds. I want to challenge you to give tonight. If this message, if this ministry has been a blessing to you, if this message was a blessing to you, I want to challenge you to sow a seed tonight. Give an offering. Give your tithes tonight. If you don't have a place to tithe, to call home, we would love for you to tithe into this ministry. We know it is good ground. It has impacted so many people through the taught word and the things that we do for our community. I want to challenge you to give today and sow into this message today. You can give one of three ways. You can give via CashAPP, $REHABCCGIVE. You can give through our website, www.rehabcc.org, and choose online giving. Or you can text REHABWORKS to 88202. That's REHABWORKS to 88202. All right. Again, CashAPP, $REHABCCGIVE. Website, www.rehabcc.org. Or you can text REHABWORKS to 88202. Again, that's REHABWORKS to 88202. And that link will come to your phone and you can give right from that link. And we know God's going to bless you because of your giving. I do have to tell you and announce to you that our short code is going to be going away. That 88202 is going to be going away. So we've got to revamp everything that we've got 88202 on. From what I understand, short codes are being done away with, and the company that we use for our short code texting system has informed us that now corporations, companies are being asked to use regular numbers. So now you will text a regular number and it will be a dedicated number to Rehab, because other companies can use 88202 with just a different short code, if that makes sense. And so we will be doing away with that probably over the next couple of days, and you'll see some information about it. And you don't have to resubscribe to our channel or anything like that. And you should still be good to go. I believe, let me take that back. I don't think you have to resubscribe to getting text for us. But if you do, we're going to make sure we get that information communicated with you. It's going to be incredibly important as we go into the hybrid format that all of you are subscribed to whatever our number is, so that you can receive text alerts when we're live, when we have services, when we're doing outreach, whatever the things that we do. Okay. Listen, y'all, I love y'all. I'm so proud of y'all. I'm rooting for y'all. I want y'all to have a fantastic week, a great week. I'm praying for you, for open doors for you and your family. And then I want you to make plans to meet me this Sunday, 9:08 a.m. right here at the Rehab Christian Center. We should be on all three networks. And I literally cannot wait to see you on Sunday morning for another powerful word. Listen, y'all, I love y'all. I'm praying for y'all. I'm rooting for y'all. I want y'all to have a fantastic week. Peace and blessings. I'll see you on Tuesday.
For watching the Rehab Christian Center live experience. If this broadcast has been a blessing to you and you would like to be a blessing to our leader, Dr. Zeb Talley III, you can sow a seed into his ministry by CashAPP at $PastorZT3. It is our prayer that this message of hope encourage, enlighten, and empower you to be better. Please tune in Sunday at 9:08 a.m. for our Sunday morning experience. And as always, be blessed and have a wonderful week.